Hello, my beautiful soul sisters. My children were granted this beautiful snowy day. There's like 6 to 7 inches of snow, and it's like this magical wonderland. And I'm a few days late because last week I took this Tony Robbins Unshakable 5 days of personal growth, and it was about 3 hours a day of just amazingness. And I really want to share all of this magical amazingness that really resonated with me. So today's episode is going to be about obviously my journey and how we can be unshakable in these ever changing times. Please head over to iTunes and leave Awaken You with Shelly Bond a 5-star rating and review. And really, my beautiful soul sisters, please share this. Sharing is my heart. I just want to send this out like this intricate spiderweb. Hi, I'm Shelly. Welcome to my show. One of my many roles is a mama, a wife, a house manager, a yoga teacher, an intuitive healer, a spiritual practitioner, and a writer. As many of us can resonate with, we wear so many hats throughout the day. On this podcast, here is the space I've created for women to help us grow and help us to awaken to what really matters, to tune into ourselves, flaws and all, to embrace that healing is a journey. It is not the end point. I'm here to hold space, to share my ugly truths in hopes to invite you to awaken to yours. I want you to know that you are not alone. I am right here walking this path with you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening, wherever you are listening. I'm feeling this new, awakened, invigorated, inspired energy. And you might ask why. Because I honestly have been off and on just getting very thwarted and feeling just like defeated and feeling like everything was hard and getting really trapped in overwhelm. And really just lately, I have been allowing this like anger, ragey mom to dominate the way that I've been parenting my kids, and even the wife inside of me that I've been showing up for my husband. And it has been really toxic, and it's been me. It wasn't from anyone else, it was from me. And it's, first of all, it feels so good to admit our stuff, our shit, and to say it out loud and to name it and to acknowledge it and notice it. And with transformation and change, that is the first step to anything. It's just this awareness that, oh my gosh, or like what I'm doing, it's not working for me anymore. And so I'm trying to think of when it was. My sister told me about this Tony Robbins online thing that was free, and she had bought in like the VIP pass, and she was like, "Oh, it's set to invite my family and friends, so you can join me on it." And I was super stoked and excited, but I also was like, I didn't have really high expectations. I really have worked really hard to eliminate, and not completely eliminate because that would not be truthful, to lower my expectations and really just be open to whatever the experience brings. And so I go to sign up for this thing and I can't log in, and my sister's like, "Well, that's weird. It told me to save this." And so I sign up, and the first day it's like on YouTube, and it's really cool, and they keep talking about this like VIP group and that you get these special Q&As. And it was really cool because Tony said, when you pay for something, that you just take it more serious, which is so true. When we pay for something, it's because we're putting our money energy, and then we bring more of our focused energy. And the first day I was like, I was off and on. And then the second day, it was a few hours before it started. And that resonated with me. It so did, of really, if I pay for this, which was only $47, which was such a small price that I could give to say thank you for this incredible training that was put together by Tony Robbins and his team. And it was like, I love the way Tony is, just everything about him. He has this just powerhouse presence, and the collective energy that he brings is just like, it's like electrifying and off the charts. And I am such this kind of more calm. I do my meditations, my yoga practices. I'm very calm, but I like to get excited. I like to jump around. I like to hula hoop. I like to dance with my kids. And the energy that he brought and that his team brought and that the whole collective of the people who ended up being 1.5 million people. And they said something crazy around 70% of the people who were doing the Unshakable challenge had never worked with Tony before. And so I've heard of Tony's work a lot of times. Actually got turned on to him about 4 or 5 years ago from one of my other soul sisters, and she went to one of his live events and she told me how amazing it was, and she actually got to walk across hot coals, which sounds like, what, are you so great, like what is happening? He teaches you all of these tools that he's teaching you, but you're actually doing the work. And the whole walking across coals, I remember my girlfriend telling me that he trained you mantra, it's cool like moss. It's cool like moss. Because in the mind, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, I'm walking across hot lava, then that's going to be a little panicking, and that's going to be unsettling. And you're going to have this sense of like, fight or flight, fight or flight. Are you going to fight through it, or are you going to flight? Probably most people, I would probably run. But with that new mindset, I'm like, so I have this like buildup of energy that I just want to explode. And there's no way I'm going to share near of everything that I wanted to in this podcast, but I really want to just share with you the most powerful tricks and tips and self-help personal growth tools that are things that you can actually start implementing in your life today. So the first thing is energy. We all know about energy, right? Most of us do. I'm an energy healer. I work with different sound healing modalities. I am also a Reiki master, but I call myself more of this intuitive energy healer because I don't just stick with one modality. And Tony and his team, he had this beautiful woman. She's like, she colors her hair, but she's this little cute ginger. And Tony Robbins is like 6'7", and he like gets on the stage and just like commands your presence. And he makes these promises, but he fulfills them. He doesn't make empty promises. He's like, he tells you what you're going to expect, what you're going to get, and that he's going to deliver. And he delivers just beyond anything that you could ever imagine. And so in the beginning, it's all about energy, that we are energy. We are a accumulation of the energy in our bodies. And there's something within us. It's our physiology. Physiology is like the state of your physical self. So many of us know, if you read my book, Awaken You, that when we move our bodies, when we run or practice yoga or even go for a walk or a hike, that you end up feeling better. You feel better in your body, you feel better in your mind, and your emotional state is like clear. And I have proof of this because I remember the other weekend just having like kind of a terrible weekend. Parenting has been just really trying and challenging with my two older kids. And I remember I left and Junie and Milo were watching Jack together. And I get back and Junie's like, oh, Mom, your energy feels so much better. You just seem like you're in such a better mood. And I was like, yeah, I am. I got outside. I moved my body. I challenged myself. I enjoyed myself. And so this physiology is our body. So think of those days where we just have these craptastic days where everything is just going yucky and wrong. And most of the times, those days for me, I know that they come from days where I don't do anything to move my body. And even though this is just like this miraculous epiphany for me, is that, yeah, I will spend my minimum of 30 minutes to an hour on my yoga mat. But throughout the day, when we lose the energy, when we lose the inspiration, when we're feeling short-tempered, when we're reacting versus responding, when we're in the state of frustration and overwhelm and anger, which I know, sisters, because I've been living in that lately, that what are we doing with our body? What is our posture like? Like really check in, take a moment, just if you're sitting or standing, become aware of your body. Just start with your feet. Where are your feet? Feet. Become aware of your legs. See your legs. Okay. Notice them. Notice the hips. Notice the core, shoulders, neck, head. Now really notice the shape that your body takes. Is it more of this kind of arched forward, which I notice a lot? I notice especially my daughter, her poor little body. She just like, it's not a poor little body. I'm really working with her posture. A lot of kids are doing this nowadays, really have this like schlumpy, almost like humpback, because phones and devices, they're just easy for them to just kind of cave forward. So in this moment, really inhale, roll the shoulders back away from the ears and down. Draw a long line of energy from the sits bones all the way to the top of the head. Really create this integrity of the spine, really activate through the energy. And Tony doesn't talk about this, but for me and the work that I do, it's your chakras. And when we are not having this expansive type of posture, we are actually cutting off our circulation in our physical body, but also our energy centers are getting dimmed and we're cramping them and squishing them. I think of right now, I'm hunching forward and right there in the in the solar plexus, then the diaphragm area, and then the shoulders are slumped. So right away, that's the heart chakra. That is also the solar plexus, the Manipura chakra, which is the space of our confidence. How many of us women struggle with confidence and being confident, and especially when it comes to men and having this sense of confidence and assertion, and whether it's at home with your spouse, your husband, or your partner, or men in the workspace. And so really, if you can be aware and inhale, create that long line, you're actually going to grow and you're going to create more expansion in that front body, which physically will expand the diaphragm, the lungs, where the heart, where the breath comes ever so slightly and sometimes fast and furious, where the breath just comes and the breath always is. And so in this physiology, and so in this Tony Robbins thing, I wish I was on video. It's just like you get up and you start jumping and you start clapping and it's like, woo! And he's like, move your body, jump, express, get your energy up, and you raise your energy up. And maybe we can put on some music here. Maybe I'll find some music here and do this with me. Move your body, or even if you're sitting, just move and elevate your energy. Just move, bob, smile, allow a little joy, a little laughter, as if maybe your inner child was coming out for the first time today. You're like, yes, I'm feeling good. And for 2 minutes, let us elevate our energy, rise our energy. If it's snapping, if it's clapping, if it's moving your butt, if it's smiling, if it's moving, just move your energy, shift your physiology, your physical body, and feel what it feels like in your body. And shake and move and jump up and down and all around. And then with that same energy, that same aliveness, if you were sitting down, if you're doing dishes or folding laundry or whatever it is that you're doing, try to keep that same aliveness and then take that noticing once again. If you didn't move your body, I really challenge you to do this for 2 minutes. You can do it right now. Just look at the clock. Okay. Now jump up and down. Just be a kid. Do jumping jacks. You can run in place. You can do a few yoga flows if that feels good. But when you move, I can physically feel it right now. And I could feel the energy of that collective of the Unshakable Challenge that I was a part of. And it was live. It was live with 1.5 million people. Amazing technology made this possible. And it was so cool to be able to be at my home because I still had to go pick up the boys from school, still made dinners, and I was still like able to do this and tune in and be from home. And what I was noticing is that I move my body in the morning, but throughout the day, I homeschool my daughter and I do a lot of computer work because that's what we live in this online world. So I do like my posting, and I will make my yoga classes or my healing videos for Awaken You Yoga Healing Center. But I spend a lot of time sitting, and I do have this lovely wiggle seat that I actually got for my daughter for school that sometimes I confiscate. And it's like this one-legged wiggle stool. It sits on this disc and you can just wiggle and move. And there is this shift that you experience when you're moving. And I think of these kids at school all day who are just like sitting flat-footed and teachers yell at them for getting excited. And I'm thinking of my kids, even my boys sitting there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish that teachers, I mean, I'm sure it would be a little challenging because it really raises and elevates your energy. But what it's doing is it's changing your state. It's changing your physiology. Something as simple as when we change our state, we're coming from this more high vibration. We're up here feeling good in these high energies, especially when we can add that gratitude practice. Oh, and after this, I'm going to share with you this beautiful priming practice. I'm going to walk you through it. That is amazing. It's kind of like Tony's version of meditation that he does. I'm feeling so excited. Can you tell? I'm just like so enthusiastic about this. But really, my soul sisters, my one of my biggest takeaways was just noticing and being aware of your energetic state, being aware of your emotional state, because energy, the energy that we create, motion creates emotion. So our emotions are seated deep, deep, deep down at the core of the center of who we are. And we need to move our bodies more. And even if it's just like that, jumping up and down and moving our bodies so we're not feeling so blah and yucky. And Rex and I have just off and on for the past 2 weeks just been in this yucky funk. When Rex gets mad at me, he calls me Michelle. And he does it in this kind of condescending, like passive aggressive, rude way, just to be rude. And he knows that it pisses me off and it tinkles me off. I'm learning from Tony to like switch the words that I'm using that aren't so aggressive, that are kind of funny and light. So tinkled or peeved me off. I'm going for this. I'm trying new things because the only way we will change is if we do new things. And so we've been just in this yucky place, and it's been bad, like ignoring each other and stonewalling and just cold shoulder and just bad energy to each other. Just it's been not pleasant to be around either of us, I would say. And so we've been finishing our basement, if you've been following along, but we had this really massive pause after our friend passed away. It's been like a month and a half that we haven't really done anything in the basement because just life and the holidays and life happened. And we decided, or Rex decided, that we were going to hire drywallers and the mud sprayers to put up the drywall because they went and priced out the drywall at Home Depot. And he said it's so expensive and it's really tricky to cut and it's just kind of hard. You can break the drywall. And long story short, we decided to hire these guys. But before they can come, we have to insulate. And insulation is that itchy, fluffy, puffy, fiberglass filled stuff that lines, it's like the blankets of our walls and the blankets of our ceilings. And so Rex gets all of this insulation. He has it delivered, and there's like $1,900 worth of just insulation, And that's only for the walls that we built in the ceilings. And luckily, we were so grateful because the whole exterior of the basement is already insulated and already drywalled. Thank you, universe. When we moved in, it was just like that because it just had to be so it could keep warm in our house. And so Rex and I, we are on this mission and we're still kind of in this crappy space. We're just like, we're not treating each other nice, but we know we have this job to do because this week we have the drywallers coming. And it is like there's so much like packages of drywalling, or not drywalling, of the insulation. They're huge. It's like they're these huge, probably like 5 foot by 8 foot long sections, and there's bags of them, and they're just piled up, and it's taking over like the entire space of our workout area in the living room area, and it's filled. And I know it's going to be a lot of work. And Rex got us like these Tyvek suits, and I am very sensitive to masks. It creates like a lot of anxiety, and I'm not a very big fan of wearing them. And so Rex, when he said that we need to wear the masks because this is really bad for your lungs and it can go in and shrapnel and like cut your lungs and you don't want to breathe it in. He's like, you can breathe it in, but it's going to be really painful. And so I was like, it's fine. I'm doing this. And so I put on that like N90 mask or whatever, which is the ones that kind of like breathe a little bit more. Still, just like so constricting. We all were in the mask time, just like what, last year, 2 years ago, forever. And it cuts off your airflow and it's uncomfortable. And it's just like, I don't like things on my face. I already wear glasses. It creates this whole other monster within me. And so we get the suits on and the masks on, and we have the boys down there, and the boys are all, I feel like we're in the movie E.T. because we're in these white like Tyvek suits, and we have the gloves on, and the boys like start helping, and just like within 5 minutes Milo was like complaining like, how much longer is it going to take? How are we just going to do this one section? Are we almost done? And it was just like kind of getting just annoying. And Rex, I was just like, Milo, if you don't want to be here, then just go. Like, we're going to try to make this the best experience that it can be. Like, just go. It's fine. Just leave. Like, just go upstairs, go take a shower. You're fine. Like, he did a little bit. And then Jack is just like down there, and I can tell he's just getting super red, and it's itchy. Like, it falls down and you have to cut sections. And I'm up on this scaffolding, which is just like kind of like this base that extends and lifts up so I could be up in the ceiling. And I was the installer and Rex was the slicer. He was the cutter. And Jack's like trying, he's trying, but he's not like doing his best really to stick it out. And finally I was just like, once again, if you don't want to be here, Jack, then don't be here. And Rex had told him that he would buy him something special. And he's like, well, I want my something special. And I was like, buddy, you know what? You lasted an hour. And excuse me, Junie didn't even offer to help. And Milo lasted 20 minutes. You're fine. You can still get your something special and you can still help in different ways. And then he went upstairs too and he showered. And oh my gosh, it is like so much work. I give so much like kudos and gratitude to people who put installation in for a living. I could not do it for a living because the 5 hours and 20 minutes that Rex and I did, it was hard. It was super hard. And at first I couldn't quite understand, but it was where I'm getting at with this story is Rex and I were in this really dark, really bad place in our energies. We were not coming together. We were not being a team. We have negated everything that we vowed to not do. And we were both being awful. And it wasn't just him because in moments my ego just says it's easier. Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. There's this huge tree branch that just fell and all of this snow just went crashing down. It's so magical out here. But it wasn't just him. It was me too. And this work, we had to work, we had to look at the ceilings and there was pipes and wires and lights. And it was like fitting together a puzzle of this. And it was so cool to see the containers. He would take the razor knife and he would open it. And then it would expand 4 times the size of the package. And I don't know exactly how wide, but I would say at least they were 3 feet wide by about 6-foot sections, maybe 5-foot sections. I could be off a little bit. And there was parts where we had to just cut and piece it together to fit it up and over through the back of the light soffits and up and over the plumbing and up and over and we were forced to work our shit out. We were forced to be together and to come together. And it's a big space. I would say, we have the garage down there. We have 1,800 square feet up here, and then we have a 2-car garage down there. So I would say it's at least 12 to 1,300 square feet down there. The whole ceiling, the ceiling was it was like Tetrising. And like I was saying before, I wasn't quite understanding. I was trying my best to shove it and push it as hard as I could. And I kept noticing this resistance because Rex, he's worked in construction for 20 plus years and he's around this. No, he's not a professional installation installer, maybe. Yes, that's the right term. Let me know if that's right. And I just had to stop and get out of my ego and just listen to him. He was like, babe, really? And then he started calling me babe. And then I heard him call me Shelly. And I could feel that transfer, that shift, that alchemizing, that energy that he just began shifting. And because we were working together and there was many times where I was like, I have no idea what you're saying. And then he would get up and show me. I'm like, oh, I get it. The installation is there like a big fluffy blanket filler because it, number 1, buffs the sound. Number 2, it keeps your house warm. And it wasn't actually required by our inspector to do, but our house is the most echoey house we've ever lived in. And as you know, if you have kids or dogs, the sound just rumbles through every single vent in the house. And excuse me, we get this installation up and it is Rex is in the other room and he's trying to talk to me and I can't even hear him. I was like, wow, this stuff is amazing. But just the growth journey and the working together. And then finally, we get through the whole living space and it's a huge living space because we're going to make it the living workout space. And then Rex has all of his fun, he's been toting around this foosball table since I met him 20 years ago that he still has, that the boys now love. He has a ping pong table. This space is gigantic. And then we have a bathroom and then we have 2 bedrooms. And by the time we get to the bedrooms, we were actually over in the further end of the living room and he started grabbing my leg and then he was grabbing my butt and it was oh, you're connecting with me. Like, oh my gosh. And then he was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, you're doing such a good job. This would have taken me like 2 solid days. Like, I appreciate you so much. And it was like so authentic and genuine. And it was just like this beautiful allowing. And I can't even describe it as much as like trying my best in these words, but that experience was exactly what Rexa and I needed to break through of our old stories. And so we just we just were. And then that night I took a shower, like, oh my gosh, washed my hair probably 4 times. I got the kids in bed. I was just like exhausted, and I came upstairs, and just upstairs completely trashed. I just like usually would freak out and panic. Feelings of anxiety pulse through my head, my heart, my stomach, and it feels super gross to me to lose control of my house. But I came up from that, and I was feeling so good. And as I was talking about shifting energy, and that project took forever. It didn't take forever, but it took 5 solid hours and 20 minutes. Like, I did not even stop to pee. We were like, I would stop, I would go every like maybe 45 minutes. I would go get down from the scaffolding and take the mask off and go breathe outside and have some water. But I didn't even pee that whole time because I was like filled with insulation. And it was just like I kept shifting. We were listening to music. So I kept dancing, and I kept doing squats, and I kept moving my body whenever I felt annoyed or irritated. Because if, if you're catching what I was saying about what I learned in Tony Robbins' Unshakable course, was that we have to shift our physiology. We have to change the way that we're feeling. And it's like you're shaking up and you're rattling up like that annoying energy or that whatever energy. And I was allowing it to move it through. And I'm so excited because all of this new information too, it's like inspired me to bring it to, I'm writing my new book right now called The Empath Alchemist, and alchemizing, shifting, magically transforming energy by literally one of the things is to move your body in a way that feels good for you, or a way that feels weird, or a way that feels freeing. And this was another amazing thing that we were doing with Tony, is he has you move your body, and then you make a sound that just feels alive, that feels like you're winning, that feels romantic, or like he guides you through it. And it's so amazing because one of my old stories was like I was always a shy little girl, and I had to be quiet, and I really had to step out of that when I became a waitress when I was 18 years old, and I had to learn how to talk in front of people. And then I was a hairdresser, a hairstylist, and then I became a trainer, and I started training, and I would teach classes sometimes, and I would teach classes, and I'd have to do it in front of all these people. So I just had to learn, like, I'm doing this. And then I took my yoga teacher training that really was like, you have to communicate to these people because your communication is guiding them in this. And that really pushed me to step into myself. And one thing that was huge is that in my first yoga teacher training was we started mantra. And I'd heard of people oming, like everyone has seen like the Buddha, or maybe what Yoda sitting in. And I don't know if Yoda did om or not, but I was forced to learn how to mantra. We would we would om 3 ohms at the start and 3 at the finish. And then we would mantra the Ganesh, remover of all obstacles, the Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. So what I'm really learning more and more is just to embody the healing power of our voice, because there is also this psychology and this wiring behind the frequency of our voice is actually wired to be the exact healing frequency to heal you. And like yours is for you and mine is for me. So that's why mantra is so powerful. And so in this unshakable event, when we would do these sounds, really just, you would have to break through your own confines of judgment, because it's so interesting. And the last day on Saturday was when Tony still had his event going, and I was working in the basement that day because I told my husband I would, and I didn't realize I was taking this event, and I did blah, blah, blah. And so I literally went and hid behind the counter or the corner and was like, doing my sounds and moving my body. But I really experienced that there is such this powerful shift when we can raise up our energy, when we can elevate ourselves. And there's just so many amazing, poignant parts that it's challenging to try to fit it all in. And even for him, it was like a challenge for him to fit this information in. And then there's this bigger event calling. What is it called? I actually signed up for it because I was like, he kept saying like, you are the biggest investment for yourself. You'll never lose money on yourself. Personal growth, which I totally believe it's a journey. It's not an endpoint. And I have just noticed that I've been having these blocks that my spiritual practice is so amazing and all of these things, but I really need like a breakthrough in my psychology, in my brain, in my wiring. And this next event, what is it? Unleash the power within is this next event. And he made it so easy. He made it available to pay in 3 payments. And I think a lot of the people were saying when this event first came out, it was $8,500. And people would come from all over the world and they would meet up and do this with like tens of thousands of people. And then he said when COVID hit, everything got shut down. And he's like, well, I'm going to figure out how to Zoom this business. And he got in a hold of the creator of Zoom and figured out how to splice in all of these calls, because I think you can really only have like 1,000 calls. But long story short, there's so many great things that the pandemic brought us. And one thing that is a huge takeaway again from today is becoming unshakable in our own life, which to me just means like anxiety and overwhelm and fear. That stuff does happen and it does come. But what are we going to do with it? We can shift it. We can transmute it. We can alchemize it. We can move that energy by moving our body. And when we move our body, it changes the way we're feeling. It changes our state. So think of the state as like you're sitting there, you're frustrated. Maybe your partner's being a jerk, said some rude comment, and you're just like, F you, like, rah, like how you're reacting to them. What if you were in this elevated state, like you had just moved your body and you were feeling good, and maybe you were saying your gratitude practice and you just felt great and you were just hydrated, and then someone said that same comment to you, you wouldn't be nearly as affected. You'd be like, oh, whatever, like I brush that off. I choose not to accept that. But when you're in these low vibrational states of like, rah, that's when we just like, we attract like attracts like, and we're attracting that energy in. We attract it and we don't even realize it. So if there's one thing that we can do today, my soul sisters, is change your state that you're in. And it's not something that only has to happen once a day, which I have gotten into such an amazing habit of practicing yoga or riding a bike or going for a walk or a hike, which in the winter, the hikes have been way less and less because it's just so cold. It's like, what is it, like 3 degrees outside? It was like -2 last night. It was so frigid. But I realized that, and especially someone like me, I'm a very high energy person. I can be high energy and I can be low, and we have to shift our energy throughout the day. So when you're working or whatever, like just taking, I think of even like when I did hair, I would work my booty off for 10 hours and I wouldn't have time to even eat sometimes. Like literally, I would hold my pee the whole time. I would ignore my bodily functions. Maybe sometimes I would eat a little bit, and maybe if I had a second to fold some towels, but I would not take care of my body. And I was always standing. And that's probably what got me through, is that I was standing. But if I just went back in that back room where it was the color dispenser where I would make my magical concoctions, and if I stood and I jumped up and down for a minute and shifted my energy, it would have livened my energy instead of depleting it. And that goes for, I feel like, everyday jobs or people who are doing those type of work that you stand up. And even when I was helping insulate the basement with my husband, even that, I mean, that's such a physically demanding job where you're squatting and you're pushing and you're grunting and you're moving. But still, I required a movement in my own creative expression to help elevate my energy, because I don't feel like I would have gotten through that basement, all of that insulation, in such a positive mindset if I hadn't kept shifting my physiology and having this mindset of, oh my gosh, I'm doing this because like my big dream is that this house is going to be a vacation rental house, and then we're going to buy property and I'm going to build my healing center. So in the back of my mind, like that's kind of my MO, is like, that is what this is for. I'm working my butt off for this. Like I know it is. So I kept raising my energy, and I really feel like this is something that's so tangible, so tactical, that we can do right now. right now, right now. And I'm trying to think of another really amazing space of noticing is our emotional state. Is like I was sharing with you, I've been really allowing anger and frustration and overwhelm to just take me over, and then I'll get these like really big bouts of sadness. And during this course that I took with Tony and his helpers, it was, you could just hear, there were so many different stories about people feeling depressed or feeling anxious. And depression and anxiety is a state that we allow ourselves to constantly be in. And the more depressed we think we are, the less we move our body. The less we move our body, the more depressed we get, the more down in the dumps we get, the more those negative energies come, the more those negative thoughts come. And then it gets hard and it gets hard and it gets harder. And then it's like everything is awful and the world is a terrible place. But what I learned, and that I'm learning to, still always a student of this thing called life, is that our emotions are, they're part of our programming that we've trapped in from experiences. And so we have different parts of ourselves. Right? We have like our feelings and we have our emotions, which I always thought they were the same. I was like, oh, feelings and emotions are the same. Really though, the way, if you dive in deeper, feelings are things that you feel, like, oh, that stove is hot, or oh, I just cut my knife, or oh my gosh, I really feel this hug and I can feel the love from this person. I feel that. And emotions are what get trapped within us from past experiences. And so that's why you can literally be, I think I said it last week when I was talking about my daughter cutting her thumb. When my daughter cut her thumb, I could almost feel that pain that I had cut myself like 20 years ago, because I had trapped that emotion deep, deep, deep in that pain inside. And I could feel that cringing. It's like that human experience. When you've experienced something, then you know how bad it hurts. Like if you're a woman who's ever been into labor, you know how exhausting it is. You know how painful it is. But men, like my husband, at every one of my births, he didn't know, and he didn't really know what to do. So he was kind of curled up and just in the corner. And I've been to two of my sisters' births, and they both were different in their own ways, but still, like, they can never really comprehend or understand the pain and the endurance and the rushes and the rides and the euphoria and all that comes along with the birth experience, because they're men and they're wired like physically, like they can't have a baby. They can't squeeze a baby out of their penis. They don't have a uterus to carry a baby, so it's not probable. And so in labor, I feel like our birthing team, you could be way more compassionate and way more understanding, because like there was moments where I was in labor where my sister was like feeling my rushes, my contractions with me, like riding the sound. And I know for me that there was never a more healing time than when I was in labor with my children, because I really unleashed and I allowed my voice to be a free, whatever it needed to be. I allowed those rushes, those shrills, those deep grunting sounds, I allowed them to come out. And it was really funny because when we were doing the installation, there was this part in the bedroom and there was this big, like, kind of overhang, not really an overhang, but it was the closet. And I had to work this huge, giant, like 3 foot by 5 foot section of insulation up and over, and then try to heave ho, grunt, 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 and pull it over all the way over the closet. Well, to meet that section of the wall. And I was grunting and groaning. And my husband's like, geez, I've never heard you moan like that before. And I was like, oh, well, this is me working and working hard. Like I just make those labor sounds instinctually. Maybe this is why the construction workforce is nope. The majority of the workforce in the construction industry is men, because maybe men couldn't stand our sounds, our labor sounds. They couldn't deal with it. They couldn't take it. I feel like I have so many things to share you, and my mind and my body is just feeling so alive and so inspired. And so coming to those emotions is just take a moment and tapping in to the emotional state. And what are the emotions that you have been living on, surviving on? I think we did talk about this in last week's episode too, because I've been reading at my Let's book, The Power of One More. And it's so beautiful because Ed Milet was talking about it in a different way, but a super connected way that Tony was talking about it. And to become an emotionally aware person, because many of us just feel like we are a subject to our emotions, just like we are a subject to our thoughts. And I have to tell you, my sisters, that it's not true, that we do not have to feel stuck with these emotions. We do not have to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so depressed, I need to go grab a depressant pill, because Tony was even sharing that there is all of this research showing that the antidepressant medications that they are giving people, they're not a long-term effect. They're not accurately working. And a lot of them, you read the side effects and they say they will cause suicidal thoughts. Okay, let's get to the core and the root of these emotions, and like why every day we're feeling depressed. Why is this depression plaguing us? Why is this everyday anxiety taking us over? Well, come back to, how are you starting your mornings? What is your practice for yourself? Because if you don't have a practice for yourself by now, my soul sisters, if there's one gift that you could give yourself, if there's one thing that you can do for yourself, is make a practice to practice you every day. Because if you don't have 5-10 minutes for you, then you don't have time for anything in your life. And you have to just have enough with feeling like crap. You have to have enough and just be like, I am fed up. I'm sick of this. I'm hungry for more. I want to grow. I feel stuck and I don't want this anymore. And sometimes we have to allow ourselves to experience that breaking point to grow, to have that hunger for something different, for something else. And I remember years and years and years ago with my little ones, and I remember we moved a lot. Like, I always moved a lot as a kid, and just I love moving. I like shifting my energy. I like the change. But every house I remember, and the more kids we had, it was like looking out my window, washing the dishes, saying, oh my gosh, this is as good as it gets. It never gets any better than this. My life is as good as it gets. No, it's not, because I played that on repeat. That was my truth. But what I choose now is I choose to live an awakened life, a life where I elevate my energy, where I am aware of my emotional states. And when my emotions are bogging me down, when the energy is low vibrational, I do something about it. I shift, I change, I transmute, I transform. I do something that brings me joy. I write, I free myself, I scream, I maybe pound a pillow if that's the way I want to transmute anger. But enough is enough of this sad story of why me and why I can't and all of the excuses, because those excuses, my soul sisters, we're done with them. We are over this victim mentality. There's no more. And there's even times I still will catch myself like, oh my gosh, reverting back to the like, oh, this shouldn't have happened, why, blah, blah. We just have to trust that the universe has brought every experience into our life for a very divine reason. And knowing that trying and difficult times, it leads to so much growth and so much breakthrough. But stagnant, comfortable, fluffy, puffy times, like those times are great too. But could you imagine a world where you just like always got along with your spouse and your kids were always perfect? And could you imagine that? It would get old. It would be boring. And then we would find problems with it. And it wouldn't be like those false perceptions or those false Instagram posters who are just like, there, I saw on my feed a while back, just like this cutest family with just like the perfect filter, and they all just always look put together, and their hair is brushed and everyone's smiling, and everyone knows, if you're a mom, that is such BS. That real life with real kids, like my kids have been home today, and I finally broke down and let them watch the snow after they went outside to play, because it's like 5 degrees and we don't need frostbite. But if that TV was not on, that someone would be crying or laughing hysterically or running around or markering on something. And that's real life, because real life is messy, it's loud, it's unpredictable. And we have to stop trying to control everything, because I know I am always catching myself in that like need to control what's happening in my kids and this and that. And I'm really just the practice of surrender, Shelley. It's like, it's time. It's time to surrender. So my beautiful soul sisters, I really want you to just tune in and just take a moment, maybe with me. Just, can you take a moment and elevate your energy? If you're sitting, wiggle out your shoulders, shake your hands. I was doing this in the car after I watched this I was picking up Milo from wrestling, and I know it's like a 30-minute trip, and I was just like feeling like I needed. So I was driving and wiggling my shoulders and just wiggling up side to side. I'm changing my physiology. I'm shifting my energy, and maybe I love to snap my fingers to shift energy or let old negative energy go. Just shift, 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 shift. Move around in your seat, or if you're standing up, shake your body, lift your arms up overhead, like, woo! Maybe create a little, ah, a sound that liberates you. Oh, or if you don't know, just oh, whatever sound that primally comes out of you without judgment. I know sometimes if our people are around, but if your kids are around, this is like perfect time because kids totally accept us just the way they are. We are. Well, until they get older and then they start judging, unfortunately. So now, with that, just take a moment and with that same intention, that same energy, that same active and aliveness. If you can, if you're in a place where it's safe to be seated, you can place the hands on the hearts, maybe one on the belly, one on the hearts, or maybe at your sides or on the top of your thighs. And if you're working or busy or doing something, that's okay too. Just tune in your awareness to what are your leading emotions? What are your 3 emotions that you lead with? Without judgment, and just now let it go. Sadness, anger, frustration, fear. Fear, scared. A lot of us lead in that. Whatever it is, with this openness, this acceptance, okay, now we've acknowledged you. We see you. We acknowledge you. And we know that our body calls on these emotions because it's trying to protect us. And we give our body great gratitude. And there's a difference, my beautiful soul sisters, between allowing yourself to experience emotions and then becoming them. And just notice that. Which end of the spectrum are you? Do you become those emotions? Sometimes do you feel a little joyful? Sometimes do you feel relieved, enthusiastic? What is it? And knowing that if we can allow ourselves to experience instead of become these emotions, it can shift everything for us. And just feeling, where is it that you feel that majority of those emotions? Right away, my hand goes one hand to the heart and one to the belly, sometimes in the head. And just with so much love and positive light and intention, just know that these emotions, these energies have been with you, but you can choose in this moment to shift, to clear, to transmute them and to change the way that you're feeling every day by shifting your energy, because you are an energetic being and you are powerful and you are bright and you are wise and you are worthy. You are worthy of the energy that you want, of the life that you want, my beautiful, beautiful soul sisters. And with our eyes closed, I just wanted to guide you through this quick little morning. Tony calls it a priming. I don't really resonate with the priming. I would just say it's just your like, get your foot, like wake up on the right side of the bed, like put your body in like a good state of feeling, to be in a good state of thinking and being. And so if you are in that seat still, just stay. And if you are in a space where you're busy and you're working, I get it. And maybe you can pause this for later. So find your comfortable seat and allow yourself to just tune in to your hearts. Call on the loving light from the universe. And you can imagine a white light beaming from the ethers, from the heavens above, whatever resonates with you in your practice. Allowing that loving divine energy, that resonant energy from the universe, from God, the divine, whatever resonates in your practice, in your religious space or your spiritual practice, bring that down, washing over through the head, sending that beautiful white light energy down all of the chakras, down the body, all the way down into the feet, allowing that white, resonant, loving energy to send down into the earth, allowing that earth energy to shoot down to the underwater wells, merging with the underwater layers and crystals, allowing that energy to send all the way back up and circulate up through the body. And as we send this energy up, creating the intention to have an energetic shield for yourself to protect your energy today until you sleep this evening, you slumber this evening. And within this practice, calling on gratitude, I am grateful. And in the heart center, bringing awareness to the heart for a moment and thinking of a person that you are so grateful for, that you're so grateful for the love, for the attention, for the energy that this person brings. You really bring up the feelings of this person and how ecstatic you are that this person is a part of your life. This person is one of your soul people. This person lifts you up. This person is a light in the darkness that you can't help but smile when you're around this person. They are infectious, bright, beautiful, bubbling energy, and grow that gratitude in your heart. Grow, grow, grow how grateful you are for this person and for all the love and all the light they bring in your body. Connecting to another person that you feel so grateful for, that your life would not be the same if it wasn't for this person. Allow that gratitude to grow, growing that gratitude for that person, allowing that smile to peel up on the corners of the lips, giving so much gratitude. Thank you, thank you. Because where there is gratitude, fear is not. Love and gratitude is here in this moment with this love and this gratitude to this person we love so much. And in your heart, send love. Send love to your people who you love the dearest. With that heart connection, send love and light energy, positive thoughts and intention to the people that you love, almost like this spiderweb connection to all of your people that you love dearly. Send them love. And now bring up to your heart a person who perhaps is bothering you, a person that maybe you have some yucky, stagnant energy with. Send this person love. Send them love and send them forgiveness. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. It doesn't discount your experience. It doesn't make anything okay. It's healing at this soul, this emotional level. I forgive you. I love you. Sending them love. And within the eye of your mind, in this manifester, goal setter mode, think of 3 things that it is that you want to accomplish today. 3 things that you want to manifest. Maybe it's making more money. Maybe it's organizing your house, cleaning your car. Maybe it's having a great day at work and being a master of your time, a master of your own domain. Maybe it's that you want to have a great workout today. 3 things. Feel how it feels when you accomplish those things. Really feel into it. If it's you making more money, imagine yourself depositing money in your bank account and paying all of your bills and still having an abundance left over to splurge and explore and do the things that you want to do. Maybe even having enough money to take your dream vacation. Smile, feel into what does that feel like to feel so good to be financially free? Or what does it feel like to feel so good to have an organized, clean living space? Feel into what that feels like to have an organized business day, to be a time master, a time orienter. And the more we create space for these images, the more our brain will help attract what it is that we need to bring these into fruition. With this smiling, open heart, just opening your heart to the loving light of the universe and the divine. Taking this moment of connection, creating space, and with a smile on your face, however you'd like to end your practice. I like to end with palms, kissing palms to the heart, honoring and acknowledging the love and light within in me and acknowledging it within you and in you. Namaste. And so that, of course, like anything, was my own creative version of just like a great practice that can start our day. And this was really beautiful that Tony was sharing that at first the inner critic was like, oh my gosh, you don't meditate? Like, what? He was saying that it's really hard for him to meditate. He's like, I don't get it. How do people tell you to sit there and not think when all you're doing is thinking? So when I really appreciated it, because I remember when I first started meditating, I always felt like I was failing. It was this like complete state of fight or flight, and I had to fight my way through it. And I would often end up flighting away from it, and I'd open my eyes and I'd be like, oh, well, Jack's awake. I need to take care of him, or I need to go do the dishes. And so I really think that this practice, and I'm going to come up with a name when it really resonates with me, of like morning, like positive energy morning, of just really allowing yourself to, when you can feel what it feels like to be grateful, there's no room for worry or doubt or fear. Isn't that amazing? when you really tap into what it feels like to feel grateful. And that's why gratitude is such a powerful practice. That's why it's something I've been doing for like years upon years upon years. And there's definitely been many times where I do that practice where I haven't touched and tapped into what it feels like, what my emotional state behind gratitude is. And that's why that's so powerful if you can really tap into a person that you love so much that you're so grateful for that you couldn't do this life without that person. And really, I don't know if you experienced or not. You can always share in the show notes, or you can share on Awaken You, shellybond@gmail.com, and let me know your experience. And knowing that it's a practice, it's not a perfect, but when you get in that grateful state, it really clears the pathway, and you're clearing that pathway. And then there's this incredible uplifting energy when you're sending love, to people. How can you not feel uplifted? Because love is one of the highest vibrations, one of the highest frequencies that we can live in. And then from that love, when there's someone maybe who's causing you a grievance, or I've known many people going through divorces or child custodies, or businesses are maybe flopping, and there's a lot of grievances and a lot of low vibrational energy, and sending love and forgiveness to whether it's like a company or a person is so powerful. Like this powerful, deep, profound healing, this healing that goes deep, deep, deep at the center of who we are. And then I like to finish that practice with just a few minutes in silence to just like be open to receiving or asking for signs or messages. That's really powerful too. And then when you bring that manifesting piece, that visualization piece, which these top high performers, these Tony Robbins amazingness, who are just like impacting the world and feeding like 200 million families and children all over the world, because when Tony was a little boy, like he was so poor, his mom was an alcoholic, and he had 4 stepdads, and he never knew when his next meal was coming. And now he feeds people everywhere because he just is this conduit of giving and love and life. But it didn't happen overnight. Like he's been doing it for 40 years. And this was another thing that I just thought was so powerful, is that he said, don't underestimate, or what we do is we overestimate the power of what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. So think of 1 year, and like sometimes we have these crazy big goals and we're like, I'm going to do this. And then we get really thwarted by that. But it's time to rewire and maybe see, okay, what is it that I accomplished over the last 10 years? And I implore you to write it down, to think about it, to go over all of your experiences and see where you were and the woman that you are today. You're way different. You're way more expanded. You've grown so much. And even if you deny it, you've grown, you've changed, you've shifted. If you're the exact same person, then I think that maybe look in the mirror and really ask that question, because we don't give ourselves enough credit. Oh, and rolling back. So inside of that practice, that last piece is that visioneering or manifesting piece or goal setting piece. And that is the one piece that I feel like that I have been missing out on, is I just will get caught up in the day. And then it's like, get the boys ready for school, get the boys off to school, come home, clean the house, homeschool Junie. And then the afternoon comes and I'm like, wait, where am I doing? What's happening? Blah. So for me, really this visioneering, some call it, or visualization or manifesting part, where you allow yourself to tap into what it is that you desire. What is it that you want for yourself? Do you want to be healthier? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to feel better? Do you want to have a more grounded practice, or do you want to emotionally feel healthy? Because we talk about this like physical health and even mental health, but emotional health, like that matters. Your emotional health matters. And it's not just your mental health. It's not just your physical health. It's really combining all those together. That's why I love yoga, because it really intertwines all of them. And a really good practice allows you to embody your emotional state too, and to embody it, free it, set it free, surrender to it, whatever it is. So, so many things. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here. And my next podcast is going to be a spinoff of this, because I really feel like I've only touched on like 3 points, but with all this passion, all this fire within me, I just have to share it, because Oh, this is what we have to do. And for you, my sister, share this with someone that you love. And I know my husband is a little bit more resistant. So if you have like a soul sister or a soul friend or a coworker or even your kids, share with your kids about raising your energy and in lifting up your energy. And really, please practice it. Please do it throughout your day. Shift your physiology, shift your state, even if it's jiggling, jumping up and down all around. Jump, like my kids have a trampoline. It's super snowy right now. In the summer, I get out there, but I'm really thinking about getting one of those little rebounders because that's a great way. I hula hoop sometimes, like tap into your inner child, move your body, and then from that elevated state, then approach life, then approach what it is. Oh, we're going to feel way more motivated to write that list of what is it I need to do to write my book. Well, I need to get my outline pinned down. Well, I'm making my website. These are the tactical things that I'm doing today to make my website. And with this lifted up, this high vibrational state, take action right now, because if we wait until that energy, we're going to sink back down. The anxiety, the overwhelm, all this stuff, it'll just pool up. So the shift. If that happens, fine. We've got this. We know the tools. We are self-help goddesses. We can help ourselves because no one is going to help you. You have to help yourself. And that's exactly why I'm here today, to share that you can choose to awaken to who you are, because there's so many amazing things that you can do to help yourself now, here and now. You don't have to wait for someone else to do it. You don't have to buy the shirt or the shoes or the car or have another kid or get another puppy, me, to change the way you're feeling and to change your life, because you, my beautiful soul sister, you're so capable and you're so powerful and you are so worthy of doing all the things that you want to do. It's just a matter. It's a matter of you and that shift. I love you. Please head over to iTunes, leave Awaken You with Shelly Bond a 5-star rating and a review. It means the universe to me. I'm feeling just this electrified energy. Share this on your social media. Please share. You can also hashtag Women's Podcast. That's what I've been doing. Hashtag Awaken You. Awaken You with Shelly Bond. Just share my lovelies. Catch me on Awaken You Yoga Healing Center, my beautiful friends on YouTube and Facebook, Shelly Bond, Instagram, Awaken You, Shelly Bond, all the things. It's like such a mouthful, but I love you. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so excited because I'm going to just keep continuing sharing all of this motivation and this excitement. And please, you share it with someone. Share how you can move your body, to change your emotional state. I freaking love you. Goodbye until next time.